I completely failed at my first 3 years of putting out YouTube content, and there were 6 things that I did not do which led to that failure. So if you're putting out content right now and you feel like your channel isn't growing, you're not getting the amount of views or subscribers that you would like to or that you're hoping to get based on the point that you're at now, then these 6 things are going to help you get outside of that and give you a proven path of what you could do in order to start to get better immediately and start to see a massive difference in the results that you get from the incredible content that you're likely putting out, but just not seeing the results that you're expecting. What's up, guys? My name is Mike Sherrard, and I'm really excited to talk about this because all too often you see people with really big channels. Mine is not huge, only 90 whatever thousand subscribers, but it's getting there and it's starting to grow. And in my first 3 years, it was absolutely terrible. I think at the end of my first couple of years, I had 167 subscribers. I was finally able to break 3,000 after my 3rd year. And it started to grow after that, but only when I made these 6 massive changes to approaching content. And it's unfortunate when you see people putting all of this time, effort, energy, attention, and money into creating content and only for it to flop. And usually it's a couple little nuances that you're not thinking about that make a big difference. So you need to find what is called the small hinges that swing big doors, the things that make a big difference, but just subtleties that you can tweak immediately and start to see that difference in how your content performs. Okay, so the first thing that I did wrong is that I was being really inauthentic. And I know that this sounds obvious, but I want you to go back and look at some of your own content and actually think about this. Because when I was putting out content, and I've got my YouTube channel pulled up here, you can go to it, filter by oldest, and you will see exactly what I mean. Go watch one of those videos and then compare it to this video in terms of how I deliver a message, and you will see a night and day difference. Very stark contrast between the two. And so what happened is, when I got started on YouTube, I was really shy of being in front of the camera. I was introverted. It was a big fear of mine. And so I did what many people do, is I tried to be a YouTube personality or have a personality for content that wasn't necessarily me, but I thought would connect with the platform. And I was being overly energetic, I was not being myself, and it didn't connect with people. And anybody that knew me knew that wasn't me in the content, and anybody that didn't know me, you can always just sense it. And so when I started to make that difference of just looking at my own content and saying, hey, that person on camera is not the person that you would meet in person, it made a massive difference. And I started to get more comments, more views, higher retention in terms of the watch time. And I think people could tell when it's authentically you, but you also have a lot more fun creating content when you're just being yourself. Like I'm sitting here right now and I enjoy creating these videos because this is just me, how I talk, how I act. And so once you can make that transition to being just authentically, unapologetically yourself, whatever that might be, quirky, fun, playful, comedic, introverted, it doesn't matter. That is the moment when your content is going to start to connect and resonate on a much deeper level with those that are consuming it. Number 2 is a huge one, is I was being biased. And what I'm referring to here, to give it some context, is oftentimes people put out content on YouTube and you're pretty privy to the value that you provide and the effort that went into it, and you think that it's a good video. And because of your knowledge base and your skill set, you think it's a valuable video. And so what happens is we get caught up in kind of this space where we think because we know the video is valuable, people should just click on it and watch it and see the value that we see in it. But what happens is I started to rewatch my own content, and a couple things happened. I rewatched not just the video, but I revisited the thumbnail and the title. And I broke the video down into multiple different things. I started rewatching very specifically the intro, very specifically the outro, the call to actions, the inflections, the delivery of it. And not only that, but what I went so far as to do, and I encourage you to do, is I would look at a video that I put out on maybe like this, like how to improve your YouTube channel. And I would type that into YouTube and I would look at the first 3 top ranking videos and I would rewatch those 3 videos and look at their thumbnails and look at their titles. And I would compare it to my video on that topic. And I put my thumbnail beside theirs and say, if I didn't know who I was, never heard of me before, would I click on my own thumbnail or the top 3 currently ranking? And most of the time what I found is that I would click on the top 3 currently ranking. And then I would watch their videos and say, were their videos more educational, informative, entertaining, valuable, enticing to watch? Did I get hooked more? Did I stay longer? And what I would see most of the times is that their videos were better. And then I would look at the title and say, based on their title, is it more captivating? Did it draw me in? Would I click on that versus my own? And most of the times, unfortunately, the answer was yes. And so when you could start to take this unbiased approach of just making what I do now, the conscious assumption that nobody knows who I am, my content is something they've never seen before, and they have no clue what the value is. If my thumbnail, title, and video landed in front of them, based on the others currently ranking for similar topics, would they click on mine? Would I click on my own versus the others? And what happens there is you're putting yourself in the consumers or the viewer's shoes in an unbiased way. But once you can make that transition from being biased based on knowing the content you put out and all the hard work that you put into it, which is great, but when you take an unbiased approach, that's when your content is going to explode. Number 3 is that I didn't know how to optimize my content. If you go back and look at my videos from 2017, 2018, I had no clue what I was doing. I was just uploading a video. I would put a title that I thought was decent. I would upload a thumbnail that I designed on Canva in 5 minutes. And I wouldn't put any keywords or tags or whatever you want to refer to it as. And so, of course, it wasn't going to perform that well. I didn't learn the platform. And so it's really important that if you want full-time outcome from anything, you have to put full-time effort into that thing. And I was putting part-time effort, or probably like 1% effort, into the platform, and I was just having a presence on it. But I was expecting consistent results. And so once I started studying the platform and looking at the little nuances and watching interviews and buying people's courses as to how to optimize videos and how you can have some sort of control over them performing well in the beginning. Of course, you have to pair that with a good thumbnail, title, and a good video. But all of the things that you could control and are gonna lend itself to better performance on the platform, I didn't learn that. And so once I started to buy programs and watch interviews and go down the rabbit hole a little bit, and I learned how to properly optimize a video, that's when things started to perform better. And I started to rank a lot more on search and other different avenues that are all predicated on optimizing your video. Now, if you're in real estate and you would like to know how to optimize your video to rank number 1, just drop a comment below, say YouTube SEO, will give you a free video that walks you through how to do that. You don't have to go buy some program. But if you're not in real estate, then maybe go watch some videos on YouTube or buy a program that's gonna give you the roadmap. Number 4 is a really big one that is oftentimes overlooked by the majority of creators, which is you don't own your subscribers. And when you put out a video with a small amount of subscribers, then it's usually falling pretty much on deaf ears. And so what I started to do, and which made a massive difference in the growth of my channel, is I started to build an email list. Because it doesn't matter which social media platform you're active on, you do not own your following. And so if YouTube takes it away or something happens to your channel, heaven forbid, you're pretty screwed. Whereas you do own an email list. So what I did is I started to create lead magnets in order to give free value to my viewers based on the topics that I was teaching in exchange for name and email. And I started to build out an email list, which is now at about 50,000 people in my niche. And so now when I started to promote a video, even when my email list was only a few hundred people, 500, 100, whatever, at least it was getting sent to 100 people, not 0. And it's really important to start to create something of value that you can give your viewers in exchange for contact information so that when your next video comes out, you can send it to them. And oftentimes that's going to not just get more people to watch your videos, but it's going to create more intimacy of your community of people that support your channel. And so they actually like it. It's providing more value to them as well. But it's really important for you to start to build that email list. And over time, as the email list grows and you send a newsletter to your whole email list of your new video, it's of course going to get more traction and thus more results in terms of views and subscriptions whenever you put out your next video. Number 5 is a really big one. And so a lot of people try and reinvent the wheel. And they come out YouTube and say, I've got this super unique approach I don't see anybody else using, and I'm gonna go after it and I'm gonna tap into it. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're gonna be pretty hard pressed to find any niche or any sort of style of content that somebody hasn't already done at the highest level and excelled and exceeded with it. So what I'm referring to here is I wasn't following a proven blueprint. Now, I've got a course, the Social Agent Academy, that gives you the blueprint if you're a realtor. I've helped create hundreds of successful YouTube channels, generating consistent leads using that. But if you're not in real estate or you're just in any sort of niche, find somebody who has done it. Whether you have to invest into a program or not, number one, I highly encourage people to invest into their business, because if you can save yourself 3 years and just go straight to a blueprint that's proven to work, well, if you have to spend a few $100 or whatever the cost is in order to get that, think about the time that you're saving, and time is money. So my recommendation is to find somebody that has one of two things. Either A, has a program that has built out a blueprint of how to thrive and succeed in your space, in your niche, with your style of content, whatever that looks like. Part one. Part two, maybe you have no money. And I get that, because I didn't when I got started, which is why I had no clue what I was doing. Start to go down the rabbit hole of YouTube channels that are in your niche, that have succeeded, and study them. Study their content, watch their content. Don't just listen to what they say, but how are they saying it? How are their intros, their outros, their hooks, their call to actions? What tags are they using? And it's gonna be a really great way for you to start to build momentum and learn what's proven to work. R&D, rip off and duplicate. There's no reason to overcomplicate it. And even if you think you've got some unique angle that nobody has ever touched before, well, great, but start building a foundation with what is proven to work. And then over time, once you have that foundation, you've built a bit of momentum, start to introduce new things that maybe are a little bit more nuanced and are allowing people to tap into exactly what your unique value proposition or your unique angle actually is. Now, number 6, one of the most important ones to bring this full circle, was that I wasn't looking at the data. I was making assumptions as to what type of content I should be putting out, instead of looking at the data of what videos I need to be putting out. What gets measured gets managed. And all too often, creators that are struggling to get good results with their content are just making assumptions as to what videos they should put out next. But after you've put out about 24 videos, YouTube gives you really good data and analytics that you can go look at in YouTube Studio. You click analytics and start to look at what type of content works well. Is there a certain style of content? Is there a certain topic of content? But the analytics, when you go down the rabbit hole, starts to give you a lot of really good additional information that's a little bit deeper. So which of your intros had the highest retention? Well, watch them again and see what did you do there that you didn't do in your other ones. You can look at peaks and dips. So peaks, when did people rewatch a section because it was really good? Or dips, when did people dip off, for lack of a better term, because it was really bad? And start to study your own channel. And that's why the analytics are there, but I wasn't looking at that. I was just flying by the seat of my pants, making assumptions, putting out content just to be consistent. And that's great. And there's that, quote that everybody lives by, that consistency is key. And if you're consistent for long enough, you'll get good results. But there's a caveat to that, which is that you have to be consistent with the right things in order to get results. Because if you're consistent with the wrong things, you can be putting out content for 20 years and still not get thousands or hundreds of thousands or whatever subscribers. So yes, consistency is a key component to succeeding on YouTube, which I was, but I was consistent with the wrong things. Now, if you have any other questions about YouTube, anything and everything, just drop a comment below. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. And if you would like to see the top 10 questions answered that I commonly get, of when to post, what time, how long should your videos be, what type of topics, what type of gear should you use, then feel free to check out this next video. And that walks through the 10 most commonly questions I get from everybody that's getting started with YouTube.